voice. I'm going to tell you a story about my voice. I have spasmodic dysphonia. Everybody's like, okay. What you may wonder, what is spasmodic dysphonia? It's a rare voice disorder that develops spontaneously in midlife. People with SD have a hard time speaking and the voice is strained or choked. It requires a huge effort to talk, and in effect, you essentially lose your voice. After initial onset, the disorder gradually progresses and then remains chronic for life. Spasmodic dysphonia is very difficult to diagnose, and it's reported to be one of the most frequently misdiagnosed conditions in speech-language pathology. You may wonder what causes SD. The cause is unknown, and the general medical consensus is that SD is a central nervous system disorder in a form of dystonia. Dystonia is the general neurological term for a variety of problems caused by excessive contraction of muscles, and is thought to originate in the brain's basal ganglia, which helps to coordinate movements of the muscles throughout the body. You may wonder who's affected by SD. 60 to 80% of the individuals that have SD are female. Anyone, regardless of race, age, ethnicity, can manifest symptoms of SD. It's estimated that 50,000 persons in North America are affected by SD, or about 1 per 100,000 of population. Some celebrities with SD include Chip Hanauer, the hydroplane race driver. Those of you probably know Chip. And Scott Adams, the Dilbert creator and comic strip writer. Is there a cure for SD? Actually, no. At this time, there is no cure. Treatments are available, and SD is often treated with regular Botox injections. So here's my story on my journey to finding out that I had SD. I first started to notice a tightening in my throat and occasional difficulty speaking in 1999. In my past, I did a lot of speaking, a lot of customer presentations, a lot of speaking at management meetings, that kind of thing. And so it was very difficult for me as this progressed. And as it began to get steadily worse, I began to get comments from my family members, people who know you, first recognize that something's changing in your voice. And I would get a lot of questions, are you okay? You know, what's wrong with your voice? And unfortunately, Kathy isn't here today because I wanted her to hear this, but the comment from my wife was, you're playing your horn too much, and that must be why you're getting this problem with your voice. So my doctor referred me to an ENT, ear, nose, and throat specialist. And the initial diagnosis was that I most likely had GERD, or acid reflux. And so I went on acid reducers, and after a few months, there was still no change. And my voice continued to gradually get worse. And I then went to another ENT in about 2002 and received the same diagnosis. So after several more months with no change, my doctor referred me to a gastroenterologist, again, the thinking being that it was an acid reflux thing. The gastroenterologist scoped my throat and confirmed the GERD diagnosis, and I went on strong acid blockers and a GERD reduction regimen. And after several months, there was still no improvement in my voice. So I, at that point, kind of gave up, you know, and went on for several more years, and things just steadily got worse. And you know, you have no idea how frustrating it is to have difficulty speaking. In addition, I couldn't be heard in loud rooms or situations, high background noise situations in restaurants, for example, on a busy street. And I was essentially losing my voice, and as a result, I just stopped talking very much and became kind of reclusive. This was very difficult for me, having been accustomed to speaking frequently in work situations and being very social. So after steady prodding from my wife and growing frustration, I returned to the gastroenterologist thinking that I must still have not overcome the effect of GERD. When the gastroenterologist looked at my history, he said, "Your stomach is certainly not producing much acid." And I explained my dilemma, and he said, "Well, you're going to the wrong ENT." So he referred me to another ENT that specializes in voice. I made an appointment, went to see this recommended doctor, and it was now fall of 2006. There were more tests, including real-time scope of my vocal cords. That was very interesting. And the ENT recommended treatment with a speech therapist, explaining that they needed to work on relaxing my neck and larynx muscles. After 12 weeks of visits with the speech pathologist, vocal exercises, massages, etc., they reran the same test and there was no change. The speech therapist was very disappointed and I was discouraged. The ENT explained that there was nothing more that he could do except refer me to an otolaryngologist at the University of Washington that specialized in speech issues like mine. He wrote a referral letter and recommended that I call for an appointment. The first available appointment was in February of 2007, and I saw a speech pathologist again with more word groups to read and questions to answer, and then I saw Dr. Hillel for more scope tests, at which time he said, "You have spasmodic dysphonia," and explained exactly what I had, the condition, and the treatment. I returned several weeks later for a mapping of my larynx muscles, which was very interesting, and followed by my first Botox injection. So now I return about every 10 to 12 weeks. I guess I'm running over. 10 to 12 weeks for the Botox injection, and I'm very grateful to Dr. Hillel and Pat Waugh for giving me back my voice in a big part of my life. And I have I'll pass this around, I have just a little thing about the people that I go to and something about Botox for treating this condition. Thank you, everyone.